every single day that I get to do this, this is my full-time job, making podcasts, helping other people, coming up with a podcast strategy and looking out into the future. I am so grateful. And I think everyone in content creation needs to have these like non-number based things that also though is tangible, right? You're not waiting for number to go up. You're like, this event happened and that made me really happy.
Hey everyone, my name is Madison Hagan, social media manager here at Memberful. I am thrilled to introduce one of our customers, Multitude, and their head of creative, Eric Silver. Multitude is a podcast company made up of passionate people creating shows that you can count on. Alongside the 10 member shows they produce from their studio in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, Multitude provides production services and ad sales for clients big and small, teaching them how to build and run shows that communities can gather around. Since 2017, their shows have had tens of millions of downloads and hundreds of thousands of people who love them, and more than a few logo tattoos. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us, Eric.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for talking to me about podcasting and how people come together.
I love it. Well, I'm super thankful that you are taking the time to chat with us. You have something exciting happening called the MultiCrew Drive. So before we dig into the questions, I just thought maybe you could share a little bit about what you're up to and kind of the exciting things that are happening over at Multitude.
Absolutely. Listen, we've been doing Multitude since 2017 when podcasting felt like just this fun thing that we liked, and now it's kind of like grown around us. And we've always had this show called Head Heart Gut that we've offered to MultiCrew members, it's like everyone from Multitude does this podcast where we argue about just like the most inane stuff, like what the best thing to do at an amusement park is, what the best piece of utensils are, and it's been the backbone of our MultiCrew, which we use, that's powered by Memberful. And this year we decided to do a drive to get 100 new MultiCrew members, hopefully at the annual price, so that people can get that, 10 months, you get a full year for 10 months, and also so that we can count on that revenue. But the thing that we're doing a little bit differently is that we're still honoring every single one of our MultiCrew members who are currently annual. So we're sending out like a mug that says this mug supports conversational podcast that brings people together if you join the MultiCrew. But we are putting up a plaque of every single person who is an annual member. Right now, we're putting up a plaque in our studio in Brooklyn, because if you're an annual member, you are directly supporting content creation in the year of our Lord 2023, which is an incredible thing to do, to make sure that independent digital creation has a place to go and continue to do it, regardless of what anyone else says, what big companies or what the market says. Like, we are still giving you what you want, and you're supporting it by giving a full year's worth of money to us, and we think that's really, really important.
Yeah, there's so much about Multitude that I really admire. And this is kind of where I thought we could take the conversation. Already in your About page, it's so clear to me, both Multitude's intentionality and also how it's built on such a strong set of values. And I mean, with everything you just described with membership, that also shines through, that you are audience supported and that's important to you, and sense of community. So I just thought maybe we could focus our conversation on exploring maybe 3 of Multitude's values. You have many, and just how membership complements these values and just the overall goals of your company and community, if that works.
Absolutely. That's really kind of you to say. Thank you.
That's great. So one of the first values that I noticed with Multitude is just the overall sense of community, which was evident both in the membership and all through your site and your podcasts. You call yourselves a podcast collective, which is a group of independent podcasters that help each other grow through strategies like resource sharing and cross-promotion. You also have a Discord community and, like we mentioned before, the MultiCrew membership. So I'm just curious why community is so important to Multitude, and what are some of the strategies that helped you build a thriving community?
That's a really good question. So first and foremost, I love podcasting. podcasting is the medium that I like talking to people. Like, yeah, I make games and I write articles and essays, but podcasting is really something that's really important to me because it builds community. I say this all the time. I think that one podcast download is equal to like 500 YouTube views because it's
Mm-hmm.
just how devoted podcast listeners are and how close that relationship is with the listener and with the show. And I think that for podcasting especially, but for all digital creation, the relationship between the people who like the thing and the person who makes it is actually the thing that is important, that allows people to grow, that money comes in from people want to support you through that, and it's our responsibility to foster that community. That's what we
Mm-hmm.
say. Our podcasts are a beacon are a beacon for community. It's a way to tell people you can come here surrounding this thing that you love, and they're going to be like-minded people, and the people at the head of that are going to steward that and make sure everyone is happy. So our community is incredibly important because we know that we have a deep responsibility to our listeners who have trusted us to integrate this into their lives, especially with podcasting. It really feels like it's the most integrated. Like you're doing something else usually when you're listening to a podcast, right? You're going on a walk, or you're washing dishes, or you're just like trying to do some work. But so we're with you in your lives, and I think that we take that community responsibility really, really seriously. And also, all of our listeners are incredible, and they're so sweet and so kind, and it's the nicest place on the internet.
Well, that doesn't surprise me that your audience is so kind and engaged. And, I think about like when I'm listening to podcasts, you're so right. I am doing other things in my life, and but I feel connected to the conversation that's happening, and in many ways I feel like I'm in the room with the host and the person that's being interviewed, and so it is a
Yeah,
completely different level of engagement and a feeling of connection to the show that you're listening to, much more than anything you might see on social media or other types of platforms. So there's something special with podcasting, and if you have a 30-minute conversation or an hour-long conversation, that is a long time to be consuming content. So yeah, connection seems to be
yeah.
critical. In addition to community, another thing that shines through how Multitude runs your business and community is this overall theme of independence. You're not owned by a larger media company or platform. Your member shows are each owned by their own hosts, and Multitude provides support by the way of ad sales, marketing, event planning, and business management. You also help your clients and partners make a living as independent podcasters. And your membership program, the MultiCrew, allows your community to fund your new work and continued growth directly. So I was hoping that you might be able to share why independence is so important to Multitude, and why podcasters and or creators should also consider being independent.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, more than ever, there are tools that you can use to be independent through Memberful and through Patreon. You can talk to your community directly, and they want to support your work. You don't have to give up anything. You don't have to give up IP, or this like IP train that this is the only way to make money. You just want like it's just about making stuff and then making people happy, the people who want to listen to it. So it's like we value our community, so that's why we want to stay independent, and
Mm-hmm.
the community values that. I think something that people miss when this in this rush to monetize content from very large companies is that it's not. I hate the word content. I really do, because it's just kind of slop. Content is like what in a sci-fi movie, like just gets put in front of the eyes of the public, just to like keep them busy, keep them entertained, right?
Mm-hmm.
While they're eating their Soylent Green. But it's like it's not content; it's something specific. It's a piece of creative expression,
Mm-hmm.
and also that's in conversation with what has happened in the past, what things that you've made in the past, and things that are happening out in the world. So if you can make money doing your own thing, you will serve your community. The most valuable thing is your relationship to your community,
Mm-hmm.
and staying independent means that we can honor that, and continue to make the stuff that we want to make, which therefore is the stuff that our community wants to see because they came for us for our thing in the first place.
Yes.
And being able like apply and then applying like, there's another thing of like content talent and content people are kept away from business stuff. They're not allowed to do finance. They're not allowed to have
Hmm.
be a part of development or have a larger strategy because you just go make your thing. The adults are busy. But there are so many tools now that allow you to have control of your own business. And that's something that we're trying to pioneer in podcasting, that we're taking control of that. I am trying to have this creative vision for what Multitude can be. And Amanda, our CEO, is probably the most like business minded person in a room of artists and the most artistic minded person in a room of business people. And that's so deeply valuable. And she allowed this to become like a sustainable bit. She had the business acumen and the ability to use spreadsheets, which is not that scary, but she's very good at it, that she actually was able to make this into to get this kicked off as something that we could do full time. And like Multitude has 8 employees, and plenty and even more hosts and even more clients that work with us for ad sales. So we're able to do it just by kind of like seeing what we can do and seeing what we provide to the larger landscape, and we're allowed to make our own choices because we're independent.
I love that. I think it's really nice to hear this type of conversation coming from someone who lives it. And I mean, just as an employee of Memberful, I mean, independence is also really important to us. And I can see what that means when it comes to creative expression, giving creators just complete freedom and free of influence to
Mm-hmm.
be able to do whatever they want. They can create anything and everything that they want whenever they want to. And I think it's probably a value that creators don't know until they lose a sense of
Yeah.
independence, or they sign up for a platform or create a partnership with someone that kind of takes that away from them. So it's just something to be aware of,
Yeah.
I think, as someone is, if you're starting from scratch or if you're in the process of growing, to really hold on to that. It's really important.
Yeah, and I just want to say this is for all mediums. Like this is
Hmm.
not just for podcasting. I think I say that podcasting has kind of like speed runned this of like the entire life cycle of people like investing and wanting return and all this. But we saw this in blogging. We're
Hmm.
currently seeing this in streaming with Twitch and their relationship with Amazon and how Amazon keeps tweaking stuff. We're seeing this. We've definitely seen this in YouTube, and we're seeing this on a very large scale with the writers' strike. Is
Yeah.
like the studios tried to tell the writers, you don't deserve any of this, take what we give you. And the writers like, actually, we do know we're our worth and we're going to do something about it. And now the writers are getting exactly what they want
Hmm.
from extensive bargaining. So it's both of our like relationships with other creators and us talking to each other about what we deserve, but also standing your ground and knowing what you are worth as an independent creator and with your own
Hmm.
group.
And, one more point too, when you are supported directly by your audience, I mean, your audience, that just helps instill a greater feeling of connection, and they might have more of a voice. It's more of a two-way conversation rather than the creator just talking to an audience without a voice or without any sort of uh, back and forth and feedback from the audience. And I just think that's really beautiful, and it just elevates, creative expression, content, if you will. And I think that's just so cool to see. I know you don't like that word, but creative expression is a great way to say it.
Hey, it's yes, it's like we need to replace the word content with something
Hmm.
else. We all need to agree, but that word content is so good because it means everything. But I
Yeah.
think that that's also part of the problem. If it means everything, it
Hmm.
loses its value. So we'll come up with a new word. This isn't on you, Madison.
Yeah, that
We just
sounds
have to
good.
use the words that exist. We all got to agree on something else. Yeah.
Creative expression. I think that's a great start, at least. If not, it'll stick forever.
Yeah,
So,
for sure, for sure.
so the last point that I really wanted to touch on is, and just listening to Amanda speak, who started Multitude, and just reading again through the About page and just throughout the whole website, is Multitude's desire to help others succeed. It's not just about Multitude and their own success. It's truly the success of the community, your clients, the shows that you help, everyone. If everyone succeeds, then everyone succeeds. So I really admired that. How would you define, or how would Multitude define success? And what sort of mindsets and values could podcasters adopt to help them achieve their own success in meaningful ways?
This is a really good question because I need to say this to myself probably once a day to remind myself what success means on the content creation treadmill, which is something that we've all been on and we've heard about. I think what's really important, the way that I define success is that we get to do this every single day. I have been in jobs where I was worried about getting laid off at any moment. I think we're seeing this all across the digital creation landscape where people are going to get laid off at any moment, or maybe suddenly a mandate will change and I'm going to have to do something totally different. Or maybe they're going to try to bring in AI and then my job will be totally irrelevant and I'll be just editing AI stuff, or maybe I won't even be edited. I'll just be gone. So every single day that I get to do this, that this is my full-time job, making podcasts, helping other people, coming up with a podcast strategy and looking out into the future. I am so, so grateful. And that's like the baseline. The fact that this is my full-time job makes me happy. On a larger scale, we actually talk about this a lot. This is one of those business acronyms that just make your eyes glaze over, but KPIs. I don't even know what KPI stands for. I just know that they're like actionable goals, right? They're real goals. Mm-hmm. and you gotta come up with what they are for yourself. I think that I'm talking about podcasting specifically, but it's like, downloads are really opaque. They're not public like a lot of other media. So you got to use something else to be your goal. So it's like, I want to have enough of a following to go put on a live show in my hometown, or I want to sell merch and I want that, or I got fan art of the podcast for the first time. You need tangible, real things that you can point to and be like, I did that and that makes me happy. And then when you get one, you take it down and you put another one up. And I think everyone in content creation needs to have these like non-number based or non-download based or non-view based things that also though is tangible, right? You're not waiting for number to go up. You're like, this event happened and that made me really happy. So yeah, we advise this of everyone who comes to consulting, and it's something that we think about all the time in Multitude. It's like, what are the goals? First of all, I'm thankful I get to do this every day. But it's like, what is the event that happens that will make me feel like I got a win for this year and that what I'm doing is worthwhile? And I mean, a lot of that is like, you can wait. So a lot of that stuff also is like, you are waiting for someone else to tell it to you. So if there's something that you can see in yourself, or you can find, is like, I feel like I'm a much stronger podcaster, or I feel like I'm so much better at researcher. I feel like I've grown so much in this year doing this. Is like that, a combination of all that stuff will really make you think that, will really, really help you feeling like what you're doing matters on a day-to-day basis.
I love that. I think that's true. Yeah, success is that's also maybe kind of an umbrella term. And, it might look a little bit differently to each person or each company. And it really feels like Multitude is enjoying a lot of growth and success, and doing so in a really meaningful and quite ethical and positive way. I mean, I imagine if you sign up to a membership like Multitude and you listen to the podcast shows, you can really feel good about the fact that you're investing in a really quality company and team. And I really mean that. I mean, it's so important to find these companies because sometimes it feels a little difficult to find. So, yeah, so good job. I really applaud what you all are doing, and it's just very cool to see. Very refreshing.
Thank you. We're trying our best. You just never know what's going to happen next, honestly. And but we get to do it. We get to do it, and I think that's enough. right?
Yeah.
Because like the fact that we get to figure out what's going to happen next is honestly the most important thing.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned things like AI or this unpredictable nature of where we're at in history. And it
Yeah,
feels like, the human element and human connection. That is, I don't know if that will ever be truly replaceable. I think it'll only become more valuable and more
yeah,
meaningful. And so
yes,
just
exactly.
leaning into it now, uh, and just creating that community and people that really like the ideas that you share and like what you're up to, I think that's just only going to increase in terms of value and meaning going forward.
I like how you said that because it's like the more that things like AI or that human research and like work
Mm-hmm.
being put into, let's call it what it is, arts, it feels like it's getting devalued. There's kind of a flip side to that, which is like
Yeah.
actually the more that the people at the top think that it's not viable, it means that there's such a space in the middle to be a middle class content creator and live your life and be a digital creator full time because there's money on the table for you to talk to your community, and then your community says, I want to give you $5 because you're doing an
Mm-hmm.
incredible job. And I gotta say, since 2020, uh, I think that audience members have figured out that they need to support the creators that they like, and they are.
Mm-hmm.
They really are stepping up on Patreon, on Memberful. People know it really, alongside of all of the things that happened in 2020, this offshoot was that we need to support all of our small businesses, whether it's a restaurant or a hot sauce company or a podcast collective. And people have been stepping up since 2020, and it's incredible to see. It's nice to know that like our audience understands what we're going through, and it's really heartening to see. And the MultiCrew and the stuff that we do, our Memberful, really allows us to get there.
So cool. So, if someone wanted to become a part of the Multitude Collective or community, where can people find you and where can they sign up, especially if they want to sign up for the MultiCrew Drive and get kind of these little extra benefits?
If you want to support the MultiCrew, you can go to multicrew.club. Right now, we are doing the MultiCrew Drive. We're trying to get 100 new and upgrading members by October 1st. If you are an annual, either you are currently an annual or you upgrade or you become an annual MultiCrew member, you get to be on our wonderful plaque of putting us on your back in 2023 plaque, and you get a wonderful mug that we put together with DFTBA, where you support conversational podcasts. It looks so sick. It's like inspired by uh, like 1950s work posters. It's so cool. I'm so excited about it. But if you haven't heard of us before, you should check out any of our podcasts like Spirits, which is a queer and boozy dive into mythology. Join the Party, which is our Dungeons and Dragons podcast, which I run, where I'm the best DM in podcasting. Next Stop, which is our audio sitcom. If you like audio drama, we have Exo War, which is a combination of world building and mythology, run by an actual astrophysicist and folklorist. Games and Feelings, which is an advice show all about games. Pale Blue Pod, which is about getting into space, even if you are a little bit afraid. That does have Dr. Moya Matir, who the previously aforementioned astrophysicist, and Corinne Caputo, a space enthusiast and comedian. They are so funny, and I love that show. And Tell Me About It, which is a combination between The Most Dangerous Game, where a rich person hunts you down for sport, and a conversational podcast where you just talk about the things that you like. It is so much fun. It's like Taskmaster inspired, and it's really, really fun.
So cool. I will check them out too. I think it's such a nice
Please
collection of
do.
different types of shows, a little something for everyone.
And we have a new show coming in October for video game fans. I can't tell you what it is yet, but I'm very, very excited about it.
Cool. Sounds great. Eric, thank you so much for your great energy and passion for what you do. And we just love following along with what Multitude is up to. And so we just appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful, and I love everything happening over at Memberful. Y'all are great. I feel like we've been together for so long, just seeing
Hmm.
everything come together, it's like, oh yeah, there should be tools that allow you to do these things. That's wonderful. So getting on the early train and and as this tool has become more and more important, it's really wonderful to talk to you.
It's great. Thanks again, Eric.